A good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parsha Shmini, Shloshel Shabbos. Shabbos after Pesach, we're back. I was in America for Pesach, back in Eretz Yisrael now. And there are many amazing, really amazing, important lessons in this week's Parsha. Very end of the Parsha, 47 last psukim of the Torah of this week's Parsha, deals with the laws of Kashrus, things we're allowed to eat, things we're not allowed to eat, what's considered Tomei, what's considered Tar, as far as animals are concerned, as far as birds are concerned, creepy, crawly things are mentioned in the Torah. And then at the very end of that section, at the very end of the Parsha, the Torah says that why is all of this, why do we have all these restrictions and all of these laws? V'yis kadashtem, because God wants you to sanctify yourself. Ki ani Hashem hamaleschem, because I am God that has brought you up from Eretz Mitzrayim, from the land of Egypt. Lios lachem lelokim, to be for you a God. V'yisim kedoshim ki kodesh ani, and I want you to be holy like I am holy. If you take a look at Rashi, Rashi says that Ki ani Hashem hamaleschem, because I'm God that has been mala you, that has lifted you up. So you really have to worry about the language. That why is it saying ani Hashem, that I'm, all of this is true because I am God that has been mala, has taken you up. Normally it says that I am God who is hotzesi, I have taken you out of the land of Egypt. Here it's maleschem, from the land of Egypt, I lifted you up. Rashi gives one answer, and he says, "Amanashet kablum mitzvasai helesiaschem." That so you would accept my commandments. That's why I took you out, and this is one of those commandments. But davar acher, there is another explanation that Rashi brings. Ki ani Hashem maleschem, that I am God who has been mal, has lifted you up. Normally it says bekulang ksiv hoitzesi, v'kan ksiv hamala. Here it says hamala. Tana debei Rabbi Yishmael, and he quotes a Gemara above Mitzia, that if I did not take the Jewish people out of Egypt, if nothing else than just for the reason that they wouldn't be metamin themselves with shratzim, that they wouldn't eat creepy crawly things like the Egyptians, so then dayom, that would have been enough. And this is a beautiful thing. This is an uplifting for them, and that's why it says Amaleschem, because I have uplifted you. Basically, I've taken you out and taught you how to elevate yourself. And you elevate yourself by the things you eat. You are what you eat, and therefore, when you eat normal things, you eat beautiful things, you eat good creatures, you eat the beautiful bounty of the world. So then, that is a beautiful thing, and that's why Ma'aleschem. That's why I lifted you up. I took you out of the land of Egypt in order to teach you how to elevate yourself. But if that's the whole purpose of taking us out of Mitzrayim, to elevate ourselves, every mitzvah does that for us. Every mitzvah lifts us up and elevates us. Right? You have chosen us from all the other nations. You lifted us above every one of the languages by giving us the mitzvahs that you give us. That you sanctified us with your commandments. It's everything in the Torah. Everything about being Jewish is about being royalty, about living like royalty. There are things that are beneath our dignity because we are royalty. We're the B'nai Malchus. We're the son of the Melech, the son of the king. So why is it dafka over here by Kashrus that we're taught Ma'aleschem, that I lifted you up, and why not by other mitzvahs? There's an incredible Gemara. The Gemara in Yuma says, Rabbi Yaakov bar Yaakov, and in the beginning, the Jewish people were like chickens that are pecking around inside of a garbage dump. Until Moshe Rabbeinu came, until Moshe Rabbeinu came and he told them, this is the time you have to eat. This is breakfast. This is dinner. This is lunch. This is dinner. And maybe even was kovei a thing called brunch, right? The afternoon snack. He told them these are the times you have to eat. That is a weird Gemara. That we were pecking around like chickens. We were pecking around like, why not pigs? Why chickens? Why chickens? And what does it mean that Moshe Rabbeinu came along and he told us, no, this is when breakfast is, this is when lunch is. What was Moshe Rabbeinu was the camp director? He was telling us, no, but between 9 and 11, that's when you can have breakfast. And he's a program coordinator. What does that mean then? Until Moshe Rabbeinu came and he taught us the times for eating. What's the message of that Gemara? So the Rambam, in his introduction to Pirkei Avos, wonders what's better. Is it better that a person should want to do an Aveira and hold themselves back from doing an Aveira? Or is it better that a person should have no desire, should reach such a high level that a person should have no desire of committing an avera at all. And he explains that there are two types of averas. There are two types of sins. There are moral, ethical sins. There's stealing. There's killing. There's breaking laws that are clearly ethical laws. But then there are those sins that are really not explainable. The commandments themselves are not explainable. Sins that come from the chukim, come from laws that we have no real explanation. Kashrus is one of them. There's no real explanation other than we have to be different than the rest of the world, and therefore there is this whole formulation of commandments called chukim, called statutes. So the Rambam says that when it comes to moral issues, that a person has to be aware enough not to even desire the sin. That a person has to recognize that this is so bad and something that is so uncomfortable that I don't even have a desire. I don't want to do this. It says, but when it comes to chukim, things that we don't understand, we have to look at it and say, wow, that looks geschmack. It looks great, but I can't have it. Afshi, but iafshi. In other words, what the Rambam is teaching us is that those commandments, it's actually better to want them and then to say that I can't because God told me I can't. Because the purpose of those commandments is, if nothing else, to teach me self-control. Kashrus teaches me that I can't have whatever I want whenever I want it. And that it's, even though it's laying right in front of me, and it's there, and it doesn't really make any good sense why I shouldn't eat it, other than the fact that God told me that I can't have it. Other than the fact that God told me that this was going to elevate me and this was going to make me into something special and different. And this concept of teaching me the self-control, that's the thing that elevates me. That's the thing that makes me different. Self-control by food is the most difficult thing. To control yourself from smoking or from any other kind of vice, it's not really so bad because it's not as hard, only because at some point you cut it out of your life completely. Okay, so you don't drink it all, so you don't smoke it all. It's not a big deal. But when you're trying to teach yourself self-control when it comes to food, it still remains permissible. It still remains in front of you. You just have to cut it down. You can't cut it out. There's no way to look at it and say, okay, then the only way for me to deal with this is, an abstinence program. You can't do an abstinence program with food. And therefore, to teach self-control, to learn self-control by issues of eating, that's the most difficult kind of thing. That's what makes us different than animals. We have this ability to say no. We have this ability to be able to control ourselves. And that's the mushal that the Gemara used, that we were like chickens pecking away at garbage, because we were like the lowest animals with no self-control. Anything we wanted, we would have. We would eat it whenever we wanted. There was no boundaries. There was no control. There was no lunchtime. There's no breakfast time. There's no dinner time. It was just whenever we wanted it, until Moshe came along and he gave us an ability to regulate. He gave us lunch times. And Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't sitting there going, okay, gentlemen, lunch is being served from 9 to 11. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us how to control ourselves, how to put boundaries on ourselves, how to be able to say no, how to be able to say it's enough. And that's what the Gemara means, that until Moshe Rabbeinu came and he taught us how to eat. That's what it means in this week's parsha when it says that Ki ani Hashem Elokechem, that was ma'ale eschem, that I was the one that lifted you up. Ki ani Hashem hama'ale eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Not just the one who took you out, but a ma'ale eschem, I elevated you. I elevated you for the purpose of giving you mitzvahs, for the purpose of teaching you how to be in control of yourselves, how to be able to regulate, how to be able to enjoy the world, but to really enjoy it because there are boundaries around it. And how was that taught us? That was taught us dafka by food. It was taught us dafka by kashrus. And that's why by this mitzvah it says hamal eschem, not by the other mitzvahs. Because if you can learn how to control yourself here, you can learn how to control yourself in everything. And ultimately, the pathway to enjoyment is the ability to be able to put a boundary around it. When there's no boundary, there's no enjoyment. When there are boundaries, when there are rules, when you can have it, but it has to be done in this kind of way, that doesn't detract from enjoyment. It allows us to really be able to enjoy those brachas and that bounty of the world. That's why Kodesh Baruch Hu gives us these laws of Kashrus in the book of Vayikra. Because what Kodesh Baruch Hu is telling us in the book of Kedusha, in the book of holiness and sanctity, the way to achieve that is by controlling ourselves. It's by holding ourselves back. When we do that, then we can appreciate all of the beauty and all of the bounty and all of the brachos that exist in the world. Hamal eschem. Make yourself special, not by breaking down the boundaries, but by respecting them and learning this incredible thing called self-control. Have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing Shabbos.